With a whole load more medium blue parts, I was able to add in some waterfalls, finish off some clouds, and then make a start on the water of section 1. I took a chance with an order of used bricks here, but sadly wasn't happy enough with the quality. With the time and effort I've put into this, I don't want it spoiled by visibly scratched bricks. I was at least still able to get a good idea of how the water looked with the rest of the background. After this stream I made a couple of alterations, with a minor redesign of the trees and doubling up of the supporting frames. I had to relocate the Technic bricks in the background to fix this, so I used the opportunity to rebuild with the new tree designs. There was a wobbly section right where one of the connections to the frame lay, but a couple of small changes tied it together. Connecting the backgrounds to the frames didn't go so well. I wanted to use pins rather than axles for a firmer connection, but it made it too difficult to connect with the frames in place. Once installed though, the doubled up frames supported it well, and I felt confident enough that I chose not to include the upper support frames. Some new blue bricks allowed me to swap out the scuffed bricks of the water, but I was just a few tiles short of finishing off section 1. It still looked pretty good altogether though. Carrying on into section 2, the water needed to cover more area vertically, as this would be visible around the columns, but I had to leave some cutouts to fit around a few gears. I did, however, forget to account for a chain, as I don't usually include them in my digital designs. Looking at section 3, there was a 1 module wide space where the bordering wall of section 4 would be built. I didn't really like this being so narrow, as the wall would be less stable. I had previously been using modified bricks connected to Technic bricks to help stabilise walls, but they don't technically sit the right distance apart like this. If I wanted to widen the wall, I'd have to move section 4's framework over, but doing this would move a frame in the way of the drive shaft to Eggman's wrecking ball. I couldn't just move the drive shaft back 1 module to overcome this though, as I wouldn't be able to fix a Technic brick into the background to align with it. I'd instead have to move the drive shaft over by 2 modules. Moving the wrecking ball to the left would only leave room for a 4 module platform, but I didn't much like the look of this. I got sidetracked here by some parts of the wrecking ball left floating when I moved it. Once I'd fixed them in, I got thinking about the pattern again. The last time I'd tried to change this, I divided it into quarters, which didn't look so good, but this time I had a different idea. Starting with the square in the centre of the ball, I was able to divide it into roughly 2x2 segments. I later went back in and made more efficient use of plates, and the result was far superior, both in appearance and strength of the structure. So if I couldn't move the wrecking ball left, I'd have to move it right, which would take away a short length of the final segment. I did want to try and include some final details such as the large golden ring and the animal container here, but there was still a reasonable length left for this thanks to an extra section of frame I'd fixed in. I did have a quick look at suitable parts for building a container, but put a whopping 3 in place before I had to call it a night. In the next stream, I wanted to finish the final part of section 1, including a bridge and the loop, to give the full effect with the background. After building the first segment and wondering where I'd misplaced the clips to hold the bridge in place, I located them on the first segment I'd already previously built. I rebuilt the loop without issue, but then came to the small platform floating above it. If I was to rebuild this sideways, I'd lose the connection points underneath, and there was nothing behind to fix it to like the other floating platforms. My first thought was building the edges sideways and leaving the centre upright, but the pattern wouldn't line up, and the sides would be unsupported. I tried Technic bricks in the centre, but the pinholes didn't align with the studs on the clear panels. I could possibly connect into the background, but there'd be visible opaque connectors, and also Lego doesn't make dark brown Technic bricks. If I added a second layer to the platform, it would give the outer edges more stability, but I felt the platform looked awkward like this, and widening it made it too big. I tried all sorts to make this platform float, but just couldn't make anything that I felt really worked. If I couldn't make connecting below work, then the rear was the only choice. I didn't like the idea of coloured Technic connectors coming from the background, so I tested a clear lift arm rising from the framework. A single arm didn't quite have the length, so it'd have to be doubled up, but I'd also need a second arm to hold the platform stable. There was a clear L-shaped arm, which could hold the platform by itself, but would still need doubling up for length. I kind of liked this option. It may not have appeared as well concealed as connecting to the background, but I feel there's a certain charm to clear supports used in Lego sets.